Leo had survived 3 tours on frontier worlds where the gravity could crush bones and the atmosphere could dissolve lungs. He'd earned his citizenship through blood and radiation burns, and now the Terran Expansion Authority was paying its debts in the strangest currency imaginable. "Congratulations, Sergeant Harrington," Administrator Vex said, sliding a datapad across the metal desk. "As per the Outer Colonies Compensation Act, you've been allocated a companion from the recent Zarathi prisoner exchange." Leo stared at the holographic display flickering above the pad. The image showed a humanoid female, roughly his height, with skin that shimmered between silver and deep violet depending on the angle of light. Her eyes were triple-pupilled, arranged in a triangular formation, and her hair moved like living mercury. "I didn't request a companion," Leo said carefully. Vex smiled without warmth. "The Zarathi don't understand our concept of voluntary partnership. To them, this is a diplomatic gesture, a war bride tradition from their culture. Refusing would be interpreted as an insult that could reignite hostilities. The ceasefire is fragile, Sergeant." 2 hours later, Leo stood in the processing center's receiving bay as hydraulic doors hissed open. A Zarathi female walked through, magnetic restraints glowing around her wrists and ankles. The chains weren't just symbolic, they were quantum-locked, designed to suppress the bioelectric fields that all Zarathi could generate. She was exactly as the hologram had shown, but more. Her presence filled the room with an electromagnetic hum that Leo could feel in his fillings. She moved with predatory grace despite the restraints, her triple eyes scanning him with an intensity that made his combat instincts flare. "Bella," he said, reading from the cultural briefing packet. "That's the name they gave you for human records." "It is the sound your mouths can make that approximates my designation," she replied. Her voice had a harmonic quality, as if multiple frequencies spoke simultaneously. "You are Leo Harrington, Deathworlder, survivor of Kragoth Prime, Sulfur VI, and the Crimson Moons campaign. You've done your research." "I was briefed on my assignment." Her eyes flickered toward the restraints. "Your species finds such directness uncomfortable, but clarity prevents misunderstanding. I am given to you as property, payment for your military service, and to seal diplomatic relations between our species." Leo felt his jaw tighten. He'd fought in wars he didn't start, watched friends die for territories that would be abandoned within a decade, and now this, a sentient being offered like a signing bonus. He reached for the restraint controls on his wrist computer. "What are you doing?" Bella asked, her voice sharpening with something that might have been alarm. "Freeing you," Leo said simply. "I didn't fight for freedom just to own another person. Whatever political games the T and your government are playing, you're not cargo." "Stop." The command in her voice made him pause, finger hovering over the release sequence. Bella stepped closer, the electromagnetic field around her intensifying until Leo's arm hair stood on end. "You do not understand what you're attempting." "I understand slavery when I see it." "This is not slavery." Her 3 eyes focused on him with laser precision. "This is survival. My world lost the war, Leo Harrington. My people face extinction. The Zarathi Council made a calculation: sacrifice a generation of our daughters to forge unbreakable bonds with humanity, or watch our entire species be sterilized by your orbital weapons." Leo's hand dropped. "The briefing didn't mention." "Your briefing told you what your government wanted you to know." Bella's voice carried centuries of buried anger. 50,000 Zarathi females, distributed across human colonies, each one a living treaty. If we die, if we're mistreated, if we disappear, the ceasefire ends and your species completes the genocide. The processing center suddenly felt colder. Leo had seen the firepower humanity could deploy. He'd called down orbital strikes that turned mountains to glass. "So you're hostages," he said quietly. "We are bridges," Bella corrected. "And I am chained not for your protection but for yours. Do you know what happens when a Zarathi female enters full bioelectric resonance? We can disrupt electronics within a 100-meter radius, stop human hearts with a thought, or channel enough voltage to slag combat armor. She held up her bound wrists. These restraints limit me to 0.1% of my natural output. Without them, I would be classified as a weapon of mass destruction by your military protocols. And if I harmed you, even accidentally, it would be classified as an act of war. Leo looked at the quantum restraints with new understanding. They weren't symbols of oppression. They were circuit breakers preventing a catastrophe. There has to be another way, he said. There is. Bella's mercurial hair settled into a softer pattern. Time, trust, training. The restraints can be gradually calibrated to allow increased output as I learn to control my field around human nervous systems. Some Zarathi have achieved 90% integration after years of partnership. Partnership, Leo repeated, not ownership. The legal terminology is irrelevant to me. What matters is intention. She studied him with those unsettling triple pupils. You were ready to free me knowing it might cost you politically. That indicates a compatibility of values. Leo ran a hand through his hair, feeling the weight of decisions he'd never asked to make. I spent 3 years fighting. I'm done with wars. Then we share another value. Bella's electromagnetic field pulsed in what might have been a Zarathi smile. I was a stellar cartographer before the conflict. I mapped nebulae and calculated jump routes through unstable space. War destroyed that life. I was an engineer, Leo admitted. Civilian infrastructure, then the draft came. They stood in silence, 2 veterans of a war neither had wanted, bound together by politics and survival. The colony administration expects us to cohabitate, Bella said. They've assigned us a habitation unit in the Delta sector. Living separately would trigger investigation. We'll make it work, Leo decided. But as partners, not as, whatever they intended, you'll have your own space, your own decisions. That will complicate the political optics. Let them complain. I didn't survive Deathworlds by following stupid orders. This time, Bella's electromagnetic field definitely conveyed amusement. A Deathworlder trait I was warned about, stubborn independence in the face of authority. What else did they warn you about humans? That you're reckless, emotionally unstable, and have a disturbing tendency to befriend anything that doesn't immediately try to kill you. She paused. Also that you have an unusual concept of humor involving self-deprecation. Leo couldn't help but smile, guilty on all counts. As they left the processing center together, Bella's chains chiming softly with each step, Leo felt the familiar weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Not the burden of ownership, but something more complex, the duty of partnership with a being whose survival was entangled with interstellar politics beyond their control. Question, Bella said as they walked through the colony's pressurized corridors. Why did you really try to free me? You must have known the political consequences. Leo thought about the friends he'd lost, the civilians he'd tried to protect, the moral compromises war had forced upon him. Because I've seen what happens when people become tools for others' agendas. I won't be part of that, even if the chains are explained away as necessary. Even if the chains are requested by the one wearing them. He looked at her, really looked, seeing past the alien features to the intelligence and determination burning in those triple eyes. Then I'll help you get strong enough to take them off yourself. Bella's electromagnetic field hummed with an emotion Leo couldn't yet identify. The cultural briefing stated that humans form pack bonds easily, but I did not expect such immediate acceptance. We're both survivors, Leo said. That's bond enough to start. The colony stretched before them, a human settlement on a barely terraformed rock, filled with other veterans trying to build lives after war. And now, thousands of Zarathi females learning to coexist with a species that had nearly destroyed theirs. "This will not be easy," Bella said. "Nothing worth doing ever is." Another Deathworlder saying. A universal truth. They walked on together, an unlikely pair forging an unlikely peace, one careful step at a time. Behind them, the war remained a recent memory. Ahead, the possibility of something new, not ownership, not slavery, but perhaps partnership in a universe that had forgotten how to build instead of destroy. And in the quantum glow of her restraints, Leo saw not chains of oppression, but the patience required for two species to learn each other's languages, both spoken and electromagnetic. The real work, he knew, was just beginning.